This is a.
You good down there?
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No, I'm good, I'm doing good. Yeah. I ordered on Amazon, so no, I'm different. Good down there, Jonathan? All right. Like to call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. As always, let's start with Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move to permit Charlotte Huffman to attend the October 24, 2023 meeting of the Madison County Board of Supervisors remotely pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.2 and Section 2.4.f of the bylaws of Madison County. Charlotte was unable to attend the meeting currently scheduled for today in person because of personal business commitment outside of the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is the first meeting Charlotte Huffman will attend remotely this calendar year. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, Ms. Hoffman's online with us. You're all certified, Ms. Hoffman. We do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. Have one amended part and then one addition. I think we're amending we have a proposed amendment to the Hoover Ridge Outdoor Rec Project Resolution. And we'll put it up on the screen. Everybody's got copies. And then the other one is 5A, and that is a FAPT appointment and a CPMT notification of somebody that they've put on. Anybody else have anything we need to add to the agenda this afternoon?
And Mr. Chairman,
Please.
just for clarity, the new business item, sir, I would recommend, is that okay, is 5A?
Yeah, 5A.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Anybody? What'd you like to do?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Public comment. Public comment. Anybody have any public comment? Anybody online have public comment? That's unfortunate. All right, moving on. We'll do it again at the end. Consent agenda, we have minutes from 9/26/23 and then 10/4/23. What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. No special appearances this evening. We do have an REC easement we need to do a public hearing on. Mr. Wright, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is an easement for REC. It's up at Hoover Ridge. It's 15 feet wide. It's underground only near the tower site up there. It's no cost. It's also non-exclusive and provides REC what it needs and also gives the county maximum flexibility for the future.
If I may
Please,
just
Mr. Wood.
add to that. So what you see on the screen, it looks like a squiggly, what most people would think it's a river. That's not a river. That is the main access road that runs through Hoover Ridge. The line or the road that pulls off to your top right quadrant is the existing tower site or access road for the tower that was recently constructed at Hoover Ridge. So you may recall you held a public hearing for the purpose of a communications site lease agreement. That was for the fiber hut location as part of the Firefly Fiber project in Madison County. So this easement would bring And that's what's required from REC. So it's going from the overhead lines that exist now back to that new fiber hut location. So that is what is attempted to be depicted in that easement visual you have before you.
Do you have any questions, comments, thoughts on this one? All right, let's open it up to the public. Does anybody have?
Aerial or buried? My brain went off.
Thank you. Go ahead. It's aerial, isn't it?
It's
Or no,
undergr- underground.
It's underground.
That is right. There you go.
It's a 15-foot easement, so 7.5 feet either side center line. If you drive out there, more of a visual, and I realize we're in the public comment period, but just to add to that, you're about 5 feet off of where the existing ditch line is on the left-hand side of that road, is where they anticipate going.
Anybody else have public comment on this? That tower site seemed to work out fairly well. All right, back to the board. What would y'all like to do with this REC easement?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the right-of-way easement agreement that was prepared by Rappahannock Electric Cooperative.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
just for the record, I do want to say that our legal, Mr. Wright has reviewed this, so it has had full legal review.
Yes, sir. All right, further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ms. Hoffman, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
You vote, what do you have any comment or a vote on the REC easement?
No, I voted yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Hoover Ridge Outdoor Rec Project Resolution.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to go?
Oh,
which item?
good Lord, I apologize.
That's fine, sir.
Leathers Lane. Mr. Wright, you got a big memo?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about things.
Well, the intent here is, one was catching me up as best as possible to exactly frame the problem here, and then figure out what are the possible steps the county can take to try to either mitigate what's going on there or change what's going on there, at least the county's relationship to it. So there's a number of potential courses of action, and some of them are non-exclusive, some of them are, meaning you could take them in steps, you could take them in parallel, or you could just take one or none. It's my understanding that the current position paper, the idea was try to force the neighbors in this development to come to a consensus on what to do about the road. That has fallen short of its goal, at least to date. And so now the question is, do we continue on that path and hope that it gets better, or do we do something different? I can update a little bit in terms of what were some of the suggestions in here, and I see that Ms. Berry is here. I have talked to Commonwealth's attorney. She is comfortable with using state code as is and doesn't think, and I don't want to, she can correct me if I'm misstating anything, but there's not a need at this point for any sort of local ordinance regarding it, but either as, you know, on a case-by-case basis, as either a trespass or a destruction of property, depending on the facts, that either sheriff's office can cite somebody, or people can go to the magistrate and ask for the magistrate to issue a warrant based on a criminal complaint. In terms of potential steps, the one that is a permanent one would be an abandonment of the road. So it's a possibility for the county to do it. Just know that that one is an irrevocable step, and all the pros and cons that come with it. But I'm standing by for any questions that the board has.
Mr. Weekly, what do you have to add on this?
I don't have really much to add. I know this is a continuum of past board meetings where you've tasked staff primarily, and I appreciate Mr. Wright's research on this. You gave him various tasks to consider. I know that was mentioned before, you know, is abandonment an option? Request for proposal for road purchase, is that an option? new enforcement ordinance such as described, whether that's needed or not. Amend to less than unanimous consent. That was an option that was thrown out there as a possibility. Instead of seeking unanimous, maybe they're supermajorities, so that's addressed by Mr. Wright. Special tax district, adding it to VDOT secondary system, current as things are outlined. So really, through this extensive research and input from council, staff needs some direction from the board of what you would like to do so we can follow through on your directive. And ultimately, whatever you decide is what we would be communicating with the residents of Leathers Lane.
All right. All right, I've got a couple statements and questions, I guess. Going without an ordinance, can, as the property owner, can the Board of Supervisors or a agent of, go to the magistrate for destruction of property?
I would say yes, on behalf of the county.
All right. All right. And that would be lobbying for the destruction of property, and perhaps, what would the fines be for that?
So both are Class 1 misdemeanors, punishable by up to $2,500 fines and 12 months incarceration.
Excellent. All right. I'll just throw my 2 cents in there. I think that having a unanimous or a majority, I don't think really works. I think that, at least in my opinion, we should be taking these requests upon the board because of how contentious this has become. The other caveat that goes with that is this is a beautiful road that I've never been down it where it is in bad shape. I would think that lots of the concern is kind of a no type of response to this. The other component of it is I think the county needs to go ahead and start going to the magistrate, if that's the direction that we're going, putting some penalties on any kind of, and I look at it as destruction of property, even though that some of them are improvements, but it is destruction of our property. And that's the only way that we're gonna kind of slow some of this down. I think that goes for any grading of the road without permission, tree trimming, sticks in the right-of-way, trees that have been planted who knows how, anything that we can cite, I think we need to go down because we've gone through this a dozen times and we've made zero progress and everybody keeps doing the same thing. I think we're at a point where going towards their pocketbook is the best course of action. That's kind of where I stand on it. Who else has comments or thoughts?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, I was reading through this, on the bottom of page 5, continuing on to page 6 of your document, it states that some of the neighbors are judgment-proof. Could you further clarify that?
Meetings, you can get a judgment against somebody, a debtor, on paper, and then the hard part sometimes becomes collecting on that.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess, at first I was leaning towards abandonment, but then I felt like that was kind of shirking their responsibilities as a county. So I'm good with the position paper as it sits now, as long as we've got the teeth in the enforcement that we can deal with that. I have no problem with a proposal being submitted to the Board of Supervisors for us to decide, because ultimately, since we own the ground underneath the gravel that's sitting there, we ought to decide what gets done. So I say we stand pat where we are.
Well, just a clarification. I agree with that position. Are we going to be are we gonna draft an additional addendum or another document that specifies what constitutes damage of property, what the fine will be if we decide to,
That's,
I mean, it's-
that's the destruction of property, I think we could do an addendum. I'm looking at you, Hannon. I do think we could do one. I do think that there's a potential, that it could leave some things out, but I'm sure Hannon can kind of conquer that. And I think it's everything. Like every example, we've seen golf carts in the right of way, all of it. Has to go that direction. The question I've got though is would it be advantageous to us to pass some type of ordinance with a fine structure on this, or going with the magistrate? I mean, it seems like the problem has been in the past is that we, one, don't have any teeth at all. Two, nobody will go and swear it out to the magistrate as evidence of blocking the right of way or disturbing the right of way. I think it's us that, if we get evidence, we're going to go down this path and we're going to try to put some penalties on this thing.
Right, so if we, which I think is probably the right step, is to start enforcing what's on the books in terms of state code, then it will be up to a judge, it's usually the same judge sitting there in general district court, to decide what the penalty should be, without getting into sort of a mandatory fine schedule. So that's what, I think that's what it would look like. It would be sort of judicial discretion on that one.
All right. What about the addendum that Jim brings up on the different items? Clarissa's shaking her head. Clarissa?
The law is the law.
There you go. That was very well put, short. Is that what we want to do? Stick with status quo and kind of go from there?
I just have one more comment, and this is, I hate to even bring this up, but if we're going to be enforcing this, the destruction of property on this road, shouldn't we know exactly where the road is? Are we going to be on tenuous legal ground if we don't know where the actual road is and try to swear out complaint?
Do we need to do a survey? Clarissa's shaking her head yes. Great.
There you go.
All right, so it's going, could we? No,
Oh, yeah.
no. At this point, do we want to task the county administrator with engaging with a surveying firm to see if we can get a survey of the road? So we do know what we own. I think that's what we need to go down that path.
And then once we know, Mr. Chairman, then
Yeah.
we'll enforce
That's correct.
without hesitation.
That's correct. The only
ahead. I've got one more
other
thing.
caveat that I've got, and I don't have an answer for, and it doesn't look like anybody, what do we do about snow removal?
That one's gonna take some thought.
Yeah. Snow removal's an issue, because we can't, please.
I've got a suggestion on that. Since Darrell is the only one with the tractor and the blade, why don't the residents of Leathers Lane hire Darrell to push the snow? He knows what he's doing. That's my suggestion.
All right.
They contract with Mr. Whitby.
What y'all want to do?
I've got one more thing.
All right.
On the position paper, paragraph 10,
Yeah, get rid of that.
I want to get rid of everything except the last sentence. Get rid of, the paragraph 10 would just ultimately read, the county discourages anyone from conducting any maintenance beyond the immediate area of the property, of their property line, and the county will consider any abuse of this license to be trespassing. Now that, their property line, as opposed to other references to the road, well, the road isn't, that's not where your property line stops, because it's a 50-foot easement through there, right? So I would like to get rid of the first two sentences and just keep the last one.
All right. Who else has comments on this? All right, so the three things. We're gonna enforce penalties. And if nobody wants to do it, then we're going to. The second is change paragraph 10. I think that's a good suggestion. And then number 3 is task Mr. Weekly with getting a survey, and executing that survey, so we know where the road, and they'll mark it. Does that work?
Yeah, and I think I go a step forward. We'll have that filed at the courthouse, so it's record. There's
Good.
no chance of getting lost or anything. The public can see it just like us.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, point of privilege.
Please.
For council. Mr. Wright, do we need, I heard the three things, one of which was revision to the position paper. Does that need a vote by the board, or can we administratively do what they have tasked to be done?
Let's take a vote. Make it easy. I think that vote, yeah, go ahead.
No, is that,
Yeah, is everybody good?
Y'all
I think we can change the paragraph 10, and we can take care of the surveying with one vote whenever y'all are ready.
So moved.
So, I apologize, Mr.
Hold
Go
on,
ahead, Mr.
hold on, second, yeah, go ahead, please.
If, as I'm doing it, if I see that there's other areas for potential revision, can I suggest language or,
Yes,
okay, thanks.
bring it, I assume you'll bring it back to us here shortly, and then we can vote on the amended, position paper, is that correct?
Correct.
So,
Please.
sorry.
No.
We have a motion on the floor. I think that was going to be for authorizing me to get the survey as well as revised paragraph
Correct.
10. So we want to move forward
Do you
that, or
amend
are we
your
looking for
motion
that
to
to be
include-
done?
Yes, sir.
And
He
then
amends,
is coming back
he
later?
amends, he amends his motion to change language. Do y'all want to see this thing come back, or just get them to change it? I think it's got to come back to us.
So if you can just amend it to where it would not include the
Dustin.
revision, that would be something Mr. Wright brings back. It would just be the directive of me to obtain the survey.
There you go.
So moved.
Who seconded?
I second.
Please. All right, motion's been amended and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Come back in a couple of meetings
Yes, sir.
and look for some language on the snow stuff. Very good. Sir, yeah.
Ms. Hoffman, could you state which way you're voting for that, please?
Ms. Hoffman, which way did you vote on the, going with the surveying on leather?
I voted aye. I voted aye.
There you go. Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. All right. Anybody else have anything on leathers? All right. Hoover Ridge Outdoor Recreation Project. When, we're gonna do public comment at the end. We are. We'll come back to it. Yeah. Hoover Ridge Outdoor Rec Project Resolution. We have an amended resolution, and this is suggested, Cardi suggested this language. We can certainly go with the original. Everybody's got a copy of it. Cardi, go ahead.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'm suggesting the language that's in yellow right there under paragraph 4, stating what the purpose of our $212,000 that we allocated to the Hoover Ridge Outdoor Recreation Center project for the purpose of engineering, design, and preparation of a bid packet. That way, when this resolution is seen by prospective donors, they'll know that we didn't just, pull that number from nothing. It was actually for something, and I think that is a good purpose. Engineering, design, and preparation of bid packages that's where you start, and we committed to that, and so I just wanted to get that in the resolution. So if the rest of the board members agree, okay.
Anybody have any other comments on this? They did just receive from, I think I can say this, they just received $100,000 from Culpeper Wellness. And that's, they are raising substantial funds for this project, which is encouraging. We do have the amended resolution 2023-12. What would y'all like to do?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2023-12 as amended.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 There you go. All right, got it. New business. We have the radio tower fiber update. Mr. Weekly, please. Mr. Gordon's out fighting the fire.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly understand Brian's position. Let's see, so as you may recall, the last time we had some discussion was about the service, not only the level of service that Verizon could provide for the Etland emergency communication site, but also any latency issues. So Mr. Gordon and I were able to have a good conversation with Verizon. Normally, it's not until engineering and their order confirmations go in that they really come back with some information. We said, well, we certainly can't build this tower if the level of service is not there, because that's essentially a waste of money. So what they have come back and verified is that there is no latency issues. It's within tolerance. So I'm looking at item C. Motorola has offered that we will need a latency of less than 10 milliseconds, and we have determined that the connection will offer a speed of approximately 5 milliseconds delivery time. And that calculation was provided by Verizon engineers. So we feel that it's adequate. Some other new information, and your contract really didn't speak to this because we went from we kind of changed sites a different time through the public hearing process. But we originally were looking at microwave. This tower site's possible because of fiber connection. So that's why this is important. There is funding that would allow this, but since it wasn't, kind of factored in the original contract, I just want to give you some overview of what this would cost the county. There is a monthly charge for this service. In paragraph B, where you see the 133040, that's actually including 2 sites. It is the monthly charge for what would be the Etland site, as well as the updates there at Beautiful Run. So there is that monthly service charge. And then there is an estimated cost. Now, that number would be firmed up once the order's put in from Verizon, but they gave us a quote and an estimated cost of $48,000. That would be for the new construction portion. So that would be them building that connection from FT Valley up to that tower site. So that's new information as well. So again, staff feels confident you have the funding for it. However, this is a newer element. We want to bring that for the board for review consideration. Certainly, if the board is fine with that, we can administratively move through, or we do have a recommended action if you do want to take it as official action, would be consider approving the Verizon quote and place an order for the requested circuit. And that's all I have at this time. The draft Verizon quote is included with this packet.
But the $48,000 quote's not in here. That's estimated at this point.
Yeah, what you
So-
have, very good point. You have the monthly service, the 48,000, it's because we got an estimate from them. It's not the official order confirmation, so that's, gonna come at a later time, but that's what they anticipated the connection cost to be. They would have to obtain new easements with the Ayler family, and that would be something that is communicated and worked out through the Aylers and Verizon. The county would not be part of that other than the cost of construction. Earlier on, we had questioned why not use, it's not uncommon for utility companies to have joint utility easements. Overall, that lowers the cost of who's paying for that. But their legal team felt the necessity that they would have to have new easement. So, again, that easement would be worked out between the Aylers and Verizon. Mr. Gordon, as always, is upfront, and he has had that conversation with the Aylers. But again, we would not be party to that easement, but we would be responsible for that construction cost.
we have a recommendation from Mr. Gordon and Mr. Weekly. Questions, comments, thoughts, what would y'all like to do here?
I've got a couple of.
Please.
just comments, Mr. Chairman. Do you have a copy of the service level agreement with Verizon for this, as far as what their guaranteed metrics are? I mean, they're saying we're gonna guarantee this and that, but what's their, I mean, I'm sure that Mr. Gordon has access to this.
Yeah, what I asked Brian to, and he, kind of put some summary level in this board report. They have the jumbo packet service that we need, and then there was issues of latency, so that's what they spelled out. The engineers went through and did their calculation. I'm not a Verizon engineer, but I believe they look at total distance to the site, and there's other calculations. So we require less than 10, and they're well within tolerance of 5 milliseconds. So those are the two, I guess you could say, agreeables or deliverables that Verizon would have. I can ask Brian to provide any additional paperwork he may have from them, but this was essentially, I did see an email from Verizon that specified this is our calculations, this is what we can guarantee, and that's what went into this report. I don't know if that directly answered your question or not, sir.
It helps. My question is that, they're wanting more money to guarantee these couple of metrics, the latency and the, I guess, the bandwidth, which I don't know. I'd have to talk to Brian, and I don't know whether it would amount to anything to really discuss this with him or even the Verizon engineers, because they're going to give you the runaround on this. But I mean, you can run, I was just doing a ping to Google Data Center in Ashburn and getting less than 10 seconds every time. So, sometimes they try to sell you this extra when it's really not needed. And I'd like to know specifically what they're guaranteeing, like uptime. Is it 5 nines? Is it 7 nines? Not to nitpick, but
No.
just dealing with telecoms over the years.
Why not? Absolutely. What?
What we can do, and I'm gonna text Mr. Gordon now and see if he's on his way back, so you could either elect to pick this up if he's, say, 10 minutes away, or we don't have your joint meeting in November, because sometimes you have that ability to put agenda items on that joint meeting, so your next meeting would be the second Tuesday in November.
Do we need to approve the monthly service cost tonight? It would seem to me that we're slightly ahead of schedule with this.
Well,
Surprisingly.
you want to get the order in, so the monthly charge, we're making you aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're not looking to build this or pay for this construction, and the thing is, it's a sole source. They're the only one
Right.
in
That's
that,
where I'm at.
in that area.
Yep.
So it's not like, normally if it was a negotiating standpoint, we would be in closed session first. We wouldn't be in this arena until we work out some of these things. So it's the cost to, run that new line. The monthly cost is based on that different level of service. I do know Brian looked at, I think they deal with, maybe it's like gold and silver in that standpoint. But if you would like to wait till November, so we can have Mr. Gordon come back, our apologies, we did not know he was going to have to respond to a fire on Double Top, but we can provide that to you, sir. This would be committing the order, so you wouldn't get the monthly
Let's do that.
fee.
Yes.
This would allow us to commit that order so they can get that in their pipeline. It takes several months, according to the Verizon folks we spoke to get this moving along, to design and so forth, and get that easement documents worked out with the ALers.
Okay.
So we're just trying to
Thank
keep
you.
our timeline. I do know Brian said, far as the physical, building of this site, he would like to see this to the site first. So it would be aerial initially, but then it would drop down to the site. He would like to see this move along simultaneously, because this site's gonna require a lot of grounding, and we don't want someone coming in digging on the site after we put that grounding in place. So it's
Alright.
just really trying to keep on that same
Right.
schedule.
Other comments?
No.
Those are good.
I apologize. Mr.
No,
Chairman.
those are very
100%.
good. Appreciate the information. What about proceeding with the authorization to put the fiber in above ground and then to the tower? What would y'all like to do?
May I make a
Please.
suggestion?
Yes, sir.
If it's the monthly service fee, and I believe that's what you're looking at, we set aside, I would say, consider, approving the county administrator to work with the Director of Emergency Communications to execute the order request for the order request for the circuit. So that would be putting the order in, the monthly fee. You can still talk about, Brian can provide that information. I'll have him reach out directly, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What would y'all like to do?
I move to approve authorizing the capital expense of starting and running the line and setting up the infrastructure.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. All right, we have one appointment that we need to approve, and then we have a second one that's more of an informational one. The FAP team, which is the Family Assessment and Planning Team with Social Services, wants to appoint Tara Myers as the parent representative role. Do we know anything about Ms. Myers? They have vetted her extensively, I'm sure.
Yeah, my job is to put the information before you. What I can speak on is, I'm sure they're very familiar with services and all, or needs of foster parenting. I do know the Myers family has fostered many, so they've been an advocate more so through this system. They've recently adopted two young boys, and they've had a continuum in that family. So I can't speak to directly of why DSS, or in this case CSA as well, has put forth the individuals, but they do have involvement in that arena.
Very good. What would y'all like to do about Ms. Myers on the FAP team?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Mrs. Myers on the FAP team.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And Ms. Hoffman votes aye.
Aye.
The other one was they have appointed to the CPMT board, which is the Community Policy Management Team, Liz Ubeholer. I'm sure I'm doing a terrible job with that name, but they have put her on there. I'm sure they've done the same vetting for her. Anybody have any questions, comments on this one? All right. Discussion. Do we have anything to discuss?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Terrific. Anybody? All right. Information and correspondence. Come on down, Alan, and tell us about your new ticketing system and the exciting multi-factor authentication.
Mr. Chairman, as he gets ready,
Please.
you may recall there was a question raised at the last meeting about a ticket system, so that's why we had Mr. Berry
Absolutely.
speak to it.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to keep it nice and short and sweet, I'm going to start with 7 because that will essentially lead into 6. As a result of our Microsoft Office 365 upgrade that we've recently upgraded to, we now have access to a litany of other security features. Multi-factor authentication is the first one that we're going to roll out for that. Essentially, it's just when a user puts in their email and password to log into their account, there will be a secondary pop-up that says you must enter a one-time password to access your account. This one-time password is essentially a 6-digit code that rotates every 30 seconds. The gist of it being that if an employee logs in, there's an extra layer of security. So if I'm a crafty hacker from some other country, I get your account, your information from your email. You click on a phishing link. I now have to get past one extra hurdle that I do not get from that direct phishing request. So essentially, if you get it, there's another stop that gets you, you don't get into the account. Basically, for the ticketing system, it's a feed off of that. We rolled out multi-factor for Bruce and I 3 weeks ago, just to make sure everything would work right on it. All of the automations for our ticket system run through my account. It essentially broke it. When we first rolled it out, I got an alert from Microsoft saying all of your automations are not working anymore. Please fix this because otherwise you ain't gonna get no more tickets. So I panicked a little bit, went out to find any kind of ticketing system I could, rolled out, tested a few of them. We went with Freshdesk. It's basically a flat upgrade to our current system, helps us track and give better data to y'all in the future because the current one is essentially held together with chewing gum and paper clips. Yes, the current ticketing system is fine, everything's working. The other automations that run through my account, which is the facilities ticketing system and the HR, we have since fixed the problem. I talked with Microsoft, everything's good now. They do not have to change, so Mooney, if he wants to keep his ticketing system the way it is, doesn't have to touch it. HR, perfectly fine. We will be moving to this new one because it's essentially a flat upgrade. And it's free, no cost incurred.
All right, who has
Answer your
questions for Alan and him overcoming challenges?
Just one.
Please.
Alan, the one-time password code is coming through a text to their personal phone?
Yes, sir. It will be through an authenticator app, rather than a text.
Okay.
So, so this is one-time passcode every day when you come in, right?
Whenever you log into your Microsoft Office account, it will
Right.
prompt you. So,
Yeah, that's what we do at Scholar.
essentially, if you log out and log back in, it will ask you for it.
Right.
The other thing we have introduced is a geographical locator. So if you are outside of generally this area and you try to log in, there will be an extra one. So if I'm logged in on my laptop and I take my laptop to Orange County, it will prompt me again. So it's just an extra layer to be extra safe.
You know what a challenge this is? Sitting in Etlin when I'm logging into the Office 365 here.
The IT department is always happy to make everyone's lives more hard.
No, but it's absolutely necessary.
Yes.
There's no,
When you say doing a good job, do you mean the hard part or just IT in general? You're doing good, You're being the most popular person.
We strive.
Thank you for protecting us.
you, sir.
And the ticketing is a good one. That should streamline some stuff. Thank you, Alan. All right. Public comment. Public comment. Yes, please. Yeah, please. If you would, go to the mic. Thank you.
Brian Winhoff, Madison Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Verizon is very difficult to work with, I understand, so I can give a little insight on the process that I'm gonna go through. So once they send you the information and you sign and send them a check, they're required to finish your work in 90 days. So it'll take them a little bit while for them to get the quote up on the paperwork and send it to you. But once you sign the document, it's called a letter of intent, and once you send them a check, they have 90 days to get the work done. And the longer that it takes them to get it, you can try to basically get a reduced fund from it. Just an FYI.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. All right, other public, yes, ma'am, please, come on.
I'm Charlotte Lenoff, and I actually would like to express my appreciation to Mr. Wright for all his thoughtfulness with regard to his memorandum regarding Lover's Lane. There's a lot of work put into that, and we really appreciate it. For what it's worth, I do like the current position paper, and I know that you've already decided to remove most of the verbiage on item 10. But if I may just make a suggestion, I would strongly support instead clarifying the verbiage around the word policing the grassy area to make it more comprehensive to those who may need a clearer understanding. In section 10 of the county position paper, it reads in part, the county hereby advises the neighbors of SME to police the area abutting their individual property and extending to the road. A previous position paper more clearly stated what was permitted under the word policing instead of just saying policing, which kind of, I thought was kind of open. I believe that clear verbiage and expectations are important here. For example, maybe saying policing would be limited to mowing grass, blowing leaves, removing sticks and debris, trimming and encroaching bushes and vines, and removing saplings. Any work needed beyond these listed items would require the Board of Supervisors approval. To we have a lot of grassy area in front of our home because our home has a yard. With the way you all were approaching this, does that mean that I would have to submit to mow that area, or the grass just grows? I mean, if we just put down these few little things that it takes to maintain that area, I mean, it's nothing that would cause damage. It's mowing, removing sticks during high, because we get a lot of winds up there. Maybe that would work. And if you're up, you know, you would be open to this, I'd be happy to send what I just read. Having my family home up there for that long, we've always maintained that little area. It has nothing to do with the driving part of the road, just the grassy area that belongs to the county in front of our properties. So I'd like to say that, and I would also like to say, under Mr. Wright's paper where it says status quo, it says the owners do not agree, but the road is in decent condition. I do have a statement, is that we do think the road is in decent condition. We think it's a beautiful road, and everybody up there, those who agree with each other and who don't, have put a lot of work into keeping it in the shape it is in. And I know there's some really bad roads, so I think it looks really good. I just, you know, the road basically could use maybe a culvert or two and maybe touching up now and then, but we do agree. I think everybody out there can agree it is a nice little road. And the last thing is that, you know, everybody up there, they're hardworking folks, and we all just want to live in a safe and peaceful environment. And I have to say personally, I appreciate y'all's decisions tonight. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Copeland, I live on
Would
Leather
you,
Lane.
would you use the microphone, Mr. Scott? I can, but we record it and take minutes and all that stuff.
Well, number one, I want to make sure that wasn't an Eagles hat you had on when I walked in here.
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Anyway, my
no.
wife and I live, we have an Airbnb on Leathers Lane, we actually live in Culpeper. I think the road's in really good shape. A lot of drama up there on that mountain, I can tell you. We lived in McLean for years in New Jersey, and we've been in Culpeper for now over 10 years. But there's a gentleman there that lives on that road named Darrell who generally takes care of the road on both sides. And I did notice he had a golf cart parked on his property. I think it was his property, we really don't know. And he planted some trees, and I asked him, I said, well, why in the world did you do that? And he says, because people were driving off the road all the way over here on his grass that he worked so hard on. And listen, I want to stay out of all this because it's really none of my concern. But I do understand why he put the golf cart there, and that doesn't give him the right to do that if it's not his land. If it is there, keep it parked there, so people won't drive over that grass. We love all of our neighbors, and, you know, Darrell's maintained that road for years, and he's done an outstanding job. And, you know, some people may not care for him too much, may not like what he's got in his yard, but he's a hard worker, and he loves that road more than he loves his children, I think. No offense, but he's a good guy, and look, this is not support for Darrell. It's just, you know, I don't know. I just want to express my opinion.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Copeland, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
So would you give Darrell a little something for pushing your snow?
Yeah, I mean, he's not, we're kind of, Leathers Lane goes up, and we're way down at the bottom.
That's right.
So, you know, I don't know if he'd be, but if he was, yes, I would be more than happy to give him a few dollars or whatever it takes.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. All right, yes, ma'am. Come on up.
I'm Jessica Woodby, Darrell's daughter. I just wanted to add to about the grass in front of properties. I think all the neighbors work to maintain the frontage, what's not their property, but, you know, the county, but we still maintain to look nice. Lynn Hoff's maintained theirs, and the other neighbors as well. And I think that's great that everyone does it. I would just appreciate, because I know my dad works hard to make it look nice in front of our house along that side, that no one deliberately drives and tries to drive over the trees or things like that, or tear it up, or he's worked so hard on. We don't do that to anybody else in the neighborhood. My dad does not go to someone else's frontage and try to tear it up, right through it, or taunt in front of their house. And I would just ask something to be said about that. You know, if we are to take care of it, mow it, pick up sticks, wherever it is, that other neighbors don't come along and purposely just try to tear it up. you know? I think that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Other public comment? Yes.
First, Barry, the Commonwealth Attorney, I haven't been to a normal first meeting in a while. I'm either at work or generally just at work. So yesterday afternoon or evening, we had, Victim Witness had their annual Domestic Violence Awareness Month event, and as part of that, they recognize some community partners. And so they present 4 Purple Ribbon Awards. The Purple Ribbon is the symbol for Domestic Violence Month. Those awards were to Deputy David Hayden with the Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Scotty Woodward, he's an investigator with the Sheriff's Office, Courtney Withrow from EMS, and Annette Dotson at the Animal Shelter. And each of those individuals was able to be a steadfast and grounding and source of support for somebody going through a domestic violence event, and encouraging them to communicate and to connect with the Victim Witness program. The part that I was probably most involved in was with Ms. Dotson at the animal shelter. We had a situation where we had someone that needed to leave their home, and they had animals. And the question is, what do you do with them? And they were able to hold on to them, not for long, just for a couple of days, but able to provide that security for somebody who needed to get away for their own safety, but also needed the animals to be there for support. It's hard to lose everything all at once, and so that was able to make a hard situation just a little bit better. Ms. Withrow was incredibly supportive of a victim on scene. You know, it's scary enough that someone's beating you up, and then you've got to deal with law enforcement and EMS, and she was able to be there and be an appropriate response to get information to help medical care and the case. And then I simply can't say enough about our 2 deputies. We are very fortunate in Madison County to have law enforcement that cares enough to do their job correctly almost every time. And we should be very proud of our sheriff's office, the trainings that they do, their willingness to work with other community partners. That is not the case in many places. And then finally, there was a community partner award, and that was given to Allison Vaughn with the Department of Social Services. And it was for exceptional partnership during one of the single most difficult DV cases we had that year. She was able to build a rapport with the family and able to advocate, come up with creative solutions that helped the case move forward. And then finally, after the event, I was able to talk with the sheriff, and we have both noticed, I guess, an increase in traffic safety problems. I think everybody is familiar with the issues, the fatal crashes on Route 15, but it's also just a general speeding problem, and if you'll bear with me, a couple weeks ago, I just went through the speeds in General District Court that were set for trial. Not cases that were set for a first call, cases that were tried, and I don't think that I got them all. There was a 97 and a 55, a 95 and a 60, a 104 and a 60, a 96 and a 60, an 89 and a 55, then I think there was also a 47 and a 25. So the sheriff's office is doing absolutely everything that they can, state police doing everything that they can to enforce it. But as someone that hit a deer on 29 2 months ago, you just can't drive that fast. It will kill you, it will kill somebody else in your car, it will kill whatever you might happen to hit. The other part of this is that we have also seen an uptick in very serious DUI crashes. My office is currently investigating or prosecuting 3 separate DUI maiming and manslaughter cases. We have not had 3 in the prior 7.5 years that I've been criminal attorney. So I encourage everyone to think thoughtfully when they get behind the wheel. Please wear your seatbelt. Please don't drink and drive, or use other substances. If you are taking medication that you know makes you sleepy, do not drive. You can get a marijuana DUI. You can get a heroin DUI, cocaine DUI. All substances, we need to be able to be clear behind the wheel, especially as we are in the winter months. It gets darker earlier. It's harder to see the deer. It's harder to see the cows, and it's harder to see the people. So I imagine the sheriff and I might do something a bit more formal, but I couldn't miss the opportunity to just impress on those here the importance of traffic safety. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I do have one more thing I forgot to mention.
Go, use the mic, please. I know, it's a real pain in the neck. We all do not like it.
I just wanted to say one last thing on the snow removal. Just 2 concerns is if Darryl Woodby has a floating blade on his truck, is not to damage the gravel that he's laid or the crush and run that we all have laid. And also, I have a concern a little bit about the insurance. It would be required for a snowplow contractor working on a road. That's it.
Thank you. Other public comment? Yes, Jerry.
I would just like to encourage everybody to come on out to the park Saturday night. We have our Haunted Woods. It's one of our biggest events of the year. It's also one of our biggest fundraisers. This will be our 9th year having it. We usually get close to 500 people come through in a night, and we have close to 100 volunteers that help with that. And it's been a great community event for a long time, and I encourage anybody who wants to come out. If you want to help scare, hey. Bring your own mask, hey, I'll find a place for you to scare.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, other public comment? Thank you all.
I got
Yeah,
one
please,
more
go
thing.
ahead.
One more thing. To Ms. Lindhoff's point, so this is a rhetorical question because we don't have a VDOT rep here, but what is allowed, what does VDOT allow in their 50-foot right-of-ways? That's just I don't know the answer to that.
Snow or the
Yeah,
gravel
whatever.
or the
All
mowing?
right. Do they allow, what do they allow you? And then in practice, what happens? I don't think they would allow me to be out there mowing in front of my road. I don't know, but that's just, I'm just saying, somewhere along the line, VDOT has what is and isn't allowable in their 50-foot right-of-way, I would think, right?
The only caveat that goes with that is, and I do think the 50-foot deal, I mean, and I know we're doing 50-foot right-of-ways by county ordinances, any right-of-ways put in. But there are lots of right-of-ways like Leathers, that the road bed is 16 feet. Then there's grass on both sides. And I think landowners for years have been mowing that excess land. It doesn't, just because it's 50 feet does not mean that. I think we should specify that people need to stay in the road bed, except while passing, and there should be something, and your comments is, I think, 100% right, on the basis of, they should be able to mow. It doesn't mean you leave your lawnmower out there for several days or a couple hours, unless it, yeah, don't leave it out there. Move it out. Get a chain. We've got to address this, because, I mean, it's getting crazy. And we know about the grass that's in the right of way. It should be mowed. If that doesn't work, then I'm bound and determined saying no mowing, nothing. People have got to get along on this deal, and be rational. Anybody else got anything on this? Hannon, will you look at and see about the snow component and then
Covers.
also what the VDOT
I
is,
got it.
has for their right-of-ways and maintenance?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything? No, sir. Thank you all very much for coming. We do have a closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A1 for personnel and 2.2-3711A7 for consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ms. Hoffman will call you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dustin, did you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It didn't come out very good.
All right.
This
Hey, Billy.
conference is no longer being
Yeah, man,
recorded.
same here. Thank you. Thank you, man. So, thank you. Yeah. So, Bobby knows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very festive today.